welcome to Your Soul Wisdom, hosted by Yana Amor Manocas. In each episode, we invite you on a transformative journey delving into the profound mysteries and wisdom of the soul. Join us as we explore a wide array of spiritual topics and sacred practices that nurture and heal the soul, from reincarnation and soul contracts to the enigmatic experiences of womb alchemy and astral travel. Our discussions are designed to enlighten, inspire, and deepen your understanding of your own soul's journey. With Your Soul Wisdom, nothing is off limits. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Your Soul Wisdom. I am your host, Yana Amor Manogas. Help me in welcoming our beautiful girl gang, Kylie K, Rachel Gemmel, Lauren Calvert, and Amanda Canini Dyer. And today we have our special guest, Daniel, the Past Life Regressionist. Hi, Daniel.
Hey, girl gang.
Hi.
Welcome. I'm so excited.
Welcome, Daniel.
Yeah.
Daniel is a certified practitioner of both Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique and Beyond Quantum Healing. Additionally, Daniel has his own podcast, Timeless Spirituality, where he delves into topics related to spiritual growth with a touch of humor, which you will definitely get today. Hi, Daniel.
Hey, everyone. Now it's like pressure. There's an expectation now for me to be funny.
I did think that when you said it.
Pressure's on. So really fun today. We're talking about something that you do, which is all about dealing with past lives. What does that mean? What does that look like? It's different for everybody. I think what's fun for you today, Daniel, is that you are surrounded by 3 women who are trained in past life regression, right?
Awesome.
And then myself and Rachel have actually had a session or 2 with you. So we can share from many different perspectives. And I really want to dive into this because I love the past life regression work. My session was absolutely amazing, but I also have an issue with the term past lives because essentially, if we are living all our lives at the same time, then past lives is wrongly labeled.
I mean, are you looking for a rebuttal? I full-heartedly agree.
But the work is so important. Okay, so first why don't we get into what is a past life regression? Like, what's that look like for people? So if people understand what the process is and how we get to where we want to go.
So kind of to even piggyback off what you were saying right there, I think that it's important to make the distinction with past life regression and other life regression, because that it just doesn't have the same ring to it, because past life regression is used in a more linear time sense. Whereas when we started this conversation 3 minutes ago, we perceive that to be 3 minutes ago in our life right now, hence in the past. So when we go back and revisit past lives through past life regression using hypnosis, we see it as the past because, I mean, when else would you be wearing, a Confederate, I don't know why I went for Confederate Army uniform in the 1800s, but we perceive that to be the past. So
Correct.
Therefore, we look at it as a past life, whereas time may be something that's more concurrent and maybe happening all at once, and it may not be linear. I think it's really difficult for us to perceive it as anything other than linear, but it's my own personal belief that it is not linear and that it is happening all at once. So in a past life regression, or still what I'm referring to more as other lives now, it is where we go back and revisit, I was going to say a past life, but another life.
No, go past life. Go past life. Stick with what people know. Yeah.
We go and revisit a past life using hypnosis, and it can be used for a variety of reasons. I mean, first and foremost, just curiosity. Who were you? Where have I been? Another one is if you want to address an issue that you can't really put your finger on why something's happening, So let's just say a relationship. Why am I so drawn to this person? Why did I feel like I knew them the second that I met them? Could it be that I've known them in past life? Or could it be that, I don't know, I just like the way that their eyes are? So there could be a past life connection there. And then if we go into the more extreme side, we can look at health issues or injuries. Now, I'm only a past life regressionist. I'm not a doctor. So if you have a health issue, go to a doctor. Have me be your last visit on the health route. And when it comes to something like that, I like to default to the Sherlock Holmes quote of once you eliminate the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth. So if no doctor is able to provide you with a reason for why something is happening, let's just say it's back pain, and you've gone through multiple back surgeries and nothing is helping. Well, maybe you were wounded in a past life, probably mortally, if we're going down that route, and you carry over the memory with you to your current incarnation. So what we would do is go release that memory so you're no longer burdened by it. But again, if you have a medical issue, go see a doctor first. I know that there are other treatments available, and I'm an advocate of alternative treatments, but just, doing my due diligence right now. Go see a
Yes.
doctor.
Yeah.
This is entertainment purposes only.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So what's interesting is when I had my session with you, my first session, I had no idea what to expect. And quite honestly, I was like, oh my God, I'm not going to get anything. Or I'm probably just going to think or like create something and think that it's something real, right? Because you don't know what to expect when it's your first time. And so we go through your entire, getting to know each other. We talk a little bit and then we dive into your process and your technique and what you do. And so I think I may have gone through 4 or 5 different lifetimes. And what's interesting is the first one, I was like this male court jester. And I was like in the middle of this field all by myself. And then I think I was a queen at an event where it was some big celebration sitting next to the king. I had a child there. Fine. Another lifetime because there's a point to this, right? Another lifetime was I was happily married. I lived in the South. I had this beautiful home overlooking the water. So we're like in all these different eras of time. And then one of them felt like present time. And so we're going through, but what happened was in the end, what stood out to me was there was a relevant theme throughout all those lifetimes that played out in my life, that plays out in my life right now. And that theme is that feeling of always being alone, not lonely, but alone, just feeling alone. And I just remember like having that realization that that theme plays out throughout my lives was equally like devastating, but equally like very thought-provoking. Okay, and why is this happening? And why does this keep playing out? Why is this a theme? And how do you break through it? So it was very profound for me for even just that one simple aspect out of the whole thing where I was like, wow, like I never would have put that together. And the fact that it played out like that was absolutely crazy to me. I blame you for my
I'm sorry.
loneliness.
That tends to happen sometimes. I become I'm the bad guy sometimes. But it's okay because if it comes up and you need to face it, I think that's why it's important because just like you said, there's a pattern there. And if it's been a pattern in the past, then odds are, if we're looking at it through a linear lens, then if the pattern isn't broken, then it's probably only going to continue in the future. So why not tackle it right now? But I like what you said there about it made sense. And that's the thing that is just mind-boggling to me with every session. And I always say to everyone ahead of time, if you allow the process to unfold, everything will make sense in the end. Somehow it just like, how do you figure that a jester running in a field and then a queen, so that it ends up having this theme to it, but it does. And that's just what blows my mind. And look, I mean, this is weird as me saying this is a past life regressionist. And, again, it's always shooting myself in the foot, but in all transparency, I'm not 100% confident that those were all past lives. I believe that they were, but it may have been something that was more of a subconscious projection in order to make a more contemporary feeling feel more tangible in a way that you could understand. Again, I don't believe that that's the case, but I'm not opposed to it.
Well, then let's
Daniel,
add one more element to that, okay?
Okay. And
There was
that's also not a knock at Yana. That
No,
I'm
no,
saying that for
totally.
any past life that I've experienced
Absolutely.
for myself or just anyone.
I mean, in our work, we do realize you pick up a lot of things from other people too that may not be yours, right? Energetically. But also what happened was in one of those lifetimes, if you remember, I was getting married. No, let me backtrack. I was standing in a particular home. I was in a home and I said, I know this home. This is my present. And it was my wedding day and I was left at the altar. And you say to me, no, look at your shoes, right? So we can really determine where I'm at. And when I look at the shoes, my shoes took me to a completely different era where I was in that different era left at the altar by somebody specific. But the room I stood in the beginning of that life, if you will, was a room that I recognize right now from this lifetime. So what I actually believe is that not only did I tap into past lives, but I also tapped into a parallel reality because the situation was all too familiar. The characters were all too familiar. The space was a physical space that I have been in a million times presently. And I think I simultaneously tapped into a different reality, but also then a past life with the same characters, scenario type of thing. Does that make sense? Yeah.
I mean, yeah, at that point, you're just getting into the different life choices that we make. Are fractures created? Are we living multiple lives at one time in our same body? Are we even in the driver's seat in those other lives? Because if we are our primary consciousness, how are we having this one awareness right now, yet that other version of you is somehow operating and walking through life? And I don't believe it's just a hollow shell, but is that you in there? Which I believe that it is, but I think it also goes beyond anything that we could ever possibly comprehend as humans. I think we're too stupid to do that. Again, that's not a knock. That's just humans. I mean, we're a dumb species. We're very wonderful in many ways, but we're stupid in a lot of other ways. And I don't think we have the ability to figure it out.
Right.
So yeah, that sounds right. Parallel life.
I kind of think
believe
that we used to have an intelligence that was very different to now.
More multidimensional.
Yeah, it was a lot more multidimensional. And I think something kind of happened to set us back in time, or not even time, to just set us back on the journey, on the pathway to sort of like wholeness or sovereignty. So I think it does take a lot for us to kind of like figure out, because it can become quite mind-boggling when we're looking at sort of like within our work, we look at alternate lives and parallel lives and everything else then breaks off of that, or like timeline jumping and everything like that. So there's so much going on, there's so much happening, there's so much us in like so many different places and spaces, I think. And I think that can be confusing. But I think when you're doing like past life, whatever it's called, I guess, regression and things like that, you do. I mean, like I was going to go back to what Yana said about how everything, it made sense. And then, Daniel, you said, all of this stuff sort of comes together, but it comes up for healing. So all of this stuff happens for a reason. So you have all these different situations and they're coming up for healing. And so if you don't, then for me, I always say, well, just show up again, just wearing a different skirt or a different pants, because there has to be a reason why you've gone to that space and time, or to all those different spaces and times, And I was also going to say that years ago when I trained, or I think part of the training that we had, we were sent as our adult selves back to our child form, or back to a particular age. And there was like quite loads of us in the room. We were sent back to a particular age to have a conversation with ourselves. I think it might have been at like, say, 7 years old, and to just give ourselves a few tips or hints for the life to come. And when we did that session, I suddenly remembered within it, I think when I did it, I would have been about 21, 22 years old. I remembered the time that I went back to myself. And I remember I was in my garden at home, and I was on the swing, and this person sort of like formed in front of me. And at 7 years old, and to this day, I cannot remember what I said, but I remember having this conversation with this person standing in front of me. I didn't realize that it was just the older version of me, but I remembered it. But the strange thing was that I'm in the training, and I'm thinking, oh my God, that's the me from the training. So, and that's where it got sort of mind-boggling for me, because you now start flipping it backwards and forwards. So this was the day when I went back to 1970, say 6 or 75. But I'm in like I don't know when it was, like 1990 or something like that. And I started playing that over and over and over in my head. Like, this is the me that came back, and that's that day. And then how did that work? And it just, because it's like a loop. It was like a loop going and a loop going. So that was quite, like, I was just saying, that was quite fascinating for me to give myself some tips about growing up. But I know I gave myself something nice.
It must have been very confirming as well.
It was very, very confirming.
To have that sort of real life understanding that was entirely about you, with you. You didn't have to depend on anybody else to give the feedback. You experienced it yourself.
Yes, 100% experience.
May everybody have the same.
Yeah. Well, the strange thing was that there was a guy who, like, you know, she went around picking out certain people to talk about their experience. And there was this guy, there would have been about 100 of us in that room, or even more. It was one of those a workshop event at the time before we went on to the big thing. And he said, oh yes, I went back to my 7-year-old self, and I said to him, you know, adulthood is shit, and don't listen to what your parents say, because they're this and they're that. And you know what the funny thing was, when he said it, I looked at him and I thought, oh my God, you haven't changed. And I thought, I don't know this guy from Adam. I've never met him before. There's a stranger sitting up, like, when he got up to speak. And I thought, but that was a thought that came into my head. Oh my God, you haven't changed. You're still as miserable now as you were before. How did I know that? Why did I think that?
So, I mean,
Hey, I'm going to ask Daniel.
Oh,
well, I was going to ask you a question.
I did that one word.
I know, so I'm just going to talk over the top of you. I'm going to say, Daniel, I'm so interested in your version of life, because and by the way, I had a fantastic session. I'm still riding very, very high from it. But I'm very curious about what your view is about, you know, your conscious mind making an intention for a session and then handing that over to your subconscious mind, and what that interaction is like. And then I'm also interested in where you think subconscious mind actually ends. And so when you're doing the sessions, are you dealing with an individual subconscious mind, or on some level are you dealing with the subconscious collective as well? Like, how big does it go for you as a practitioner holding the space? Sorry, not what. Sorry, sorry. I feel
easy questions here.
I know, he needs time.
Oh wow!
I mean that. You can start with the first one.
Give him a
which is
second.
The combination. Yeah.
Is it okay if
That's
I
a
pivot
lot.
for a minute and try to answer that with something else? And if I don't, to cross
We
that
love
bridge in a
that.
minute, because there's something I wrote down
Yeah.
for Amanda.
Okay.
First off, are you like an alien human hybrid or
Yes.
something? Because when you
Yes.
said the 1970s, I'm like, what the fuck? You were alive in the
I know.
1970s?
Yeah.
Is it your lighting that's good? Like, what is it?
Oh, it's
all
just
agree.
all her, man. She's divine.
That's
got
goddess energy.
Yeah, if there's a secret, you got it.
I love the
Divine
compliment.
hybrid alien.
I have a question.
I thought, no, my alien is showing. No.
You mentioned that something happened that, let's say, like, this quote's like back in time, or at some point, something happened to shut us off from being more multidimensional or to be more into, like, what do you think happened?
Oh God, going down a rabbit hole there. I think, well, a couple of things happened. I think, well, one theory is that there was a race of beings that, I think there was something that happened. I can't get the wording correct, but they set the planet in a reverse spin or some kind of reverse magnetic spin. That's one story that I understand, but it's a story about the Tower of Babel, but it's not what people think it is. And in doing that, they then scattered humanity. They then scattered the different races and broke down, in a sense, the languaging, which comes from the original sort of, I think it's called the fire letter patterns that we have. I could read it and tell you what it is, but I also know another story whereby human beings were reaching consciousness too quickly. They were reaching, and that wasn't how they liked, in a sense, they wasn't how they liked the game to be played, whether we call it the Matrix or whatever. Didn't like the game to be played like that. So we were kind of like, we were spun backwards. And so we lost a lot of our ability to connect to the divine, which in a way is like the Tower of Babel story, whereby they talk about, human beings were building this ladder to reach source. And then the ladder was, source didn't like that. And he scattered the ladder or something like that and separated everybody. But what actually happened was that we were put back in our minds and in our consciousness. So because if you think about it, if you believe in it, Atlantis, Lemuria, and all of those kind of places that existed, for me, they were very, very advanced, spiritually, intelligently, all of those different things. They were very advanced. And then even in things like Egypt, you had a sense of knowledge that, they were mapping things. They found information. They found all those kind of documentations whereby they were able to map the heavens long before they had all of the stuff that we have even now. And then we became like how we are now, where we seem to be starting back at the beginning and trying to grow in consciousness.
So I want to try to follow right now. So when you say that something came and, well, I'm going to be going somewhere with this. I think you guys will like it. Girl power. So when something, like you're saying, like a race came from elsewhere, and now when they came to do this, was this because they like happened upon humans and then like,
no, it wasn't
look at these remarkable. Okay,
no, it was intentional. It was intentional. Yeah,
it was or wasn't.
It was intentional.
So they came across humans. They're like, oh, we're going to make them stupid now.
No, I don't think it was that. I don't know the actual reasons why. I know what was done. I could find the information. I have it.
Oh, so I'm not opposed to that. I'm like, look, completely possible. Like, that's one of those things where I would never write that off. And it's entirely possible. And then I also wonder for places like Lemuria and Atlantis, if, like, again, I'm a firm believer that they are places that probably existed, but then again, maybe they existed somewhere else in another space that we occupy and are simultaneously existing. And because we can only perceive in a linear sense, we say, oh, it was this thing that fell back in the day. And it must have been such a long time ago for us to have this amazing civilization that was built up to then crumble and then go from hunter-gatherers all the way to, and I don't know if hunter-gatherers predated Atlantis or were after Atlantis. Look, let's be honest. A lot of things, there are a lot of missing links. A lot of things that just don't make sense with our stories, where it's kind of like, I'm on the team of, well, maybe there is intelligent design and maybe there is evolution. Why can't they both exist at the same time? Why does it have to be one or the other? And I wonder about something like reincarnation and how when we come in forgetting, there has to be a reason why we forget. So why is it that I'm able to do this as a practitioner? Why are you able to do this? Why are we able to help people remember their past lives if we come in forgetting? Could it be that it's to push back against some buttheads coming in and spinning the earth backwards? And so the only way is, hey, dumb humans, let's help you guys remember where you fucked up in other lives so you can move the fuck on and we can counteract this. Maybe. It seems entirely possible. And I wonder why we're able to do this when we come in forgetting, because there has to be a reason. So is it that we're being turned on by something else, like, or is it that it's encoded, or is it just that this is a natural part of evolution where people are just starting to remember, not because of any like light waves that are coming in from, Uranus, Neptune, squared, coming from, around the bend and saying, hey there, partner, or, like where is the, like, again, and I think it's the polarity of, is there an in-between? And it's just simply put, why is this happening right now? Why are we able to counteract this thing that we come in not remembering?
Right. So you see, for me now, this reincarnation and this wheel, this cycle that we're on, constantly going in and coming out and leaving and coming back, and we don't remember stuff and everything like that. For me, I'm going to put it like this. I think it's a crock. I think we've had this conversation before. And say for my work that I do, or why I believe I do the work that I do, part of what I do is helping people to come off this wheel, is to stop this going round and round and round. Because I don't believe that I think we've now moved into a space and time in our lives, in our cycles, whereby we don't need to do that anymore, and we're looking for something else. This is a massive game that is happening. It's a massive, that's what I believe. We're coming to a massive game, okay? And that game is coming to an end. I think some of us remember and some of us don't, because that's how it is. And those who do remember, who do come in knowing stuff, and those of us that can help people to remember, we are collectively trying to, because for me, if you're moving into, say, like a fifth dimensional space, or even beyond that, having full and total memory of who you are is key. And the fact that we stay, like a lot of humans are locked into this, what we call, say, I don't know, this, I don't really know what to call it. I don't want to call it Dharma or anything like that. But the fact that we are locked into this one life, one space, one kind of like reality happening, I think that's where we lose our power, because we don't know who we are. We don't know. And you're playing multiple lives. You can meet people or clients that, for the most part, they've had 600 lifetimes. I mean, and they're going around doing the same old. We're constantly feeding back into this wheel, What exactly is, for me, is that all about? And I'm tired of it. I don't like the fact that I've come in here with so little memory. And that is what I do. I'm trying to help people to remember everything about who they are, so they can bring that all in together, and then begin to, as I say, step into their power, step into their sovereignty. I think when I say to people, step into your power, I know it's a phrase that's bandied around a lot, but stepping into your power is when you truly know who you are. And you have to know all of those experiences and all of those lives. It's gathering all your tools from all of those lives and then stepping forward with all of that. So we come in with that veil. Why do we come in with that veil? That's the question that you're asking. And I think we come in with the veil so that we can keep playing the game. And for me, I don't like when people say, well, if you do this in one lifetime, then you're going to experience it. You're going to experience it in another lifetime, and the reason why you're experiencing this is because you did it to somebody in another lifetime. Because then I think to myself, well, where does it stop? Where does it end? We just keep on. And then you might think, well, you're experiencing, say, disempowerment in this lifetime because, you disempowered somebody else in the last lifetime. But I can guarantee you, if they were to come back in another lifetime, the same thing happens again, and the same thing happens again. So what is that about? What is this all about? Something somewhere is playing a huge damn game. And I, for one, am tired of the game.
By the way,
Same.
where did you find her, Yana? She's fucking awesome.
Listen, let me tell you something.
Oh
She's
my
alive.
God.
I meet somebody that energetically, I'm like, oh my God, they're on fire. I have to like bring them to, I need them in my life. I need to like, so literally like Rachel, Kylie, Lauren, Amanda, all of them, I'm like, somehow, some way, this is going to come together. And I feel very blessed that it has come together. But when you meet people that energetically you connect with, why on earth would you not do everything in your power to build a beautiful relationship?
Yeah.
And then that brings us here.
That is nice. Yeah.
Just,
that's it.
yeah, Amanda, you're fucking remarkable. I
Wow.
want to, and like you said, you got that youthful glow. And I'm saying, why would I even challenge the alien notion, considering I'm talking to an alien right now? Because you could be an alien and die that way. But the game component, this is like my biggest struggle with all of this right now, is because I used to find myself on the train of this is all one big illusion. This is all one big feeding ground. This is all one big, we're just pawns in someone's fucking sick, twisted game. And we're being controlled there. Something is siphoning off of us, because why else would this be the way that it is? And then I, went back to maybe it is seemingly random, but then maybe it's somewhere in between. But I don't know. I think the game is beautiful. I think the game is the point, and that the only way for us to perceive it is as a shit show that we're being controlled, because it's just easier that way, instead to say, well, yeah, it hurts. It really fucking hurts, and it really sucks. And I'm right there with you. Like, I don't believe it's eye for an eye when it comes to, if I punch you in the face, I think in the next life you're going to punch me in the face. I think it may be that I continuously punch that person in the face until they push back, or they say, I'm not going to let you hit me anymore, or fuck off. Just whatever it may be.
What's
that
with
point
the violence?
I know he's bringing in the military.
Well,
What is the vibe?
I think that
No,
because
I'm joking.
I mean, I didn't go to that extreme, because usually it's, well, if someone kills me in a past life, am I going to kill? I don't know. Well, do you want to? That maybe you get the choice if you want or not. And then if you do, there are going to be consequences for that. And so, I mean, I'm right there with you for eye for an eye. And the thing that I wonder about, though, are we meant to remember all of our past lives or all of our other lives? Because I don't know how good that would be for humans in general to remember. I think that would drive them nuts. And I think it would probably drive anyone in a physical realm nuts to have to be, I'd even say at that point, burdened with the memory of all that. Because how do you even take one step without remembering every step you've taken, and not thinking about all the times you fell down, or the times that you saw the love of your life right in front of you, or you saw the love of your life die right in front of you, or you remember, getting hypothermia on that step and dropping dead. And then you remember the time that, whatever it may be. But like, what if there are these energetic cycles that we go through, and maybe it's steps of completion, and that once we get to a point where it's like, okay, we've taken care of that, I don't need to see that life again, or it's not a life that needs to come up in a regression, because we've already taken care of that. You've already crossed that bridge. You've already gone through the burden of all that shit. And now it's about, you having to deal with your 8-8. I don't know what that means. For some reason, the 8-8 came up right now, but like, it's all about the 8. Is that one of the ones we share, Yana?
Yes, we definitely share an 8-8 frequency in our soul contract. Yes.
So like, that's the energy that comes up in the lives that would pop up, that I believe are other lives that we've experienced. But then again, they may just be figments of the subconscious, or even, to answer Rachel's question, maybe other lives that other people have lived. And we are just drawing from the collective consciousness to draw upon something that we can understand in a more tangible way. So why else would I see myself as a dozen, psychopathic dictators, to understand why it pisses me off when I say, hey, can you do this? And someone says, no. It's like, well, because I was probably used to just being in charge all the time. Now, is this a real example? I don't know. The world may never know, because it doesn't matter if I wasn't Hitler. Maybe I was. I don't know. Maybe that one didn't need to come up yet, because that's something I'm going to have to deal with another time. I don't know if that's in my chart or not. But you're like, what if it's so much more expansive than the simplistic way that us fucking stupid humans can boil it down. I like milk chocolate. I don't like dark chocolate. Could it be something in a past life? Yeah. Could I have died in a vat of dark chocolate? Yeah, I could have. I mean, that would be one hell of a way to go. But
he's a Willy Wonka chocolate.
Yeah. But I wonder, especially with the triggering of everything, because it's you brought up the person with 600 lives, and I think, my God, to walk through being triggered by 600 lives, what? How would we get any? I don't even know where I was going with that, Amanda. Sorry, Jan, I know it's you. So can I say, is it okay for me to say, Amanda, take the wheel and take over for me on that one? Is that okay?
For all of us?
No. Well, do you know what? I was going to say that I think that as we enter into the different lives that we look back on, or that we see, not even look back on, that we look on, they, like you said, they do surface for a reason. But I think we always find ourselves in a space and place. If we talk about it like as it is now, 600 lives that we were going to bring back, then yeah, we think in this moment, in this body, like how we are right now.
600 lives.
We can't. Yeah. Yeah, there could be that. But I think that if that was going to happen, if we were able to start remembering, then I think we would be in a space and place, physically, spiritually, and mentally and emotionally, to be able to process that. Because it wouldn't be happening in order to make us completely disabled or frozen for us to be able to experience that kind of energy. So say like for me now, I timeline jump, or I can jump into different versions of myself. There may be somebody else that does that, and they do that pretty well, pretty good. I know for me, if I do it too much, I can get sick. It's almost like travel sickness, and I will literally, the nausea, the everything else that comes up for me. But there are times whereby I'm literally in another version of myself, and I'm pretty good. And I can handle that, and I can see it. And I know something's changed. I know something's different. I know that, Yana, you experienced something just like that this week. I was going to say to you that I also experienced something like that this week, and it always seems to have something to do with bins. I don't know why it's something to do with bins, but it does have
something too. We'll talk about it later.
With bins, yeah.
Ooh, I love
do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is that I can handle that. I can handle the, the jumping. And some people may or may not be able to handle it. Some people may be so good at it that they do. I can't control it, but I know that there are people that can control it, that can move through different timelines. They can travel like that multidimensionally, and not even just into other timelines. They can literally just travel. So,
aren't they still limited by their bodies, though, at a certain point? Even if they can do more than you, don't they still have to sleep?
Yeah, they still have to sleep. They still have to do all of those type of things. But I tell you what, funny enough, you say that. At the beginning of this year, was it? Might be the beginning of this year or last year. One of my, I don't really do New Year sort of like resolutions. But one of the things I had made a decision to do was to take better care of my physical body, because I realized that this is my vehicle here. It took me a long time to realize that this is my vehicle here, and I've got to figure out how to make it as healthy as possible. I still eat all the bad things. I'm working on it. I'm working on it. But I realized that I have to take care of this body, because this is my vehicle here. And it can get tired. my spirit and my soul wants to do so much other things, but you know, there are the limitations of the physical body. That's why I said I get sick. I get like travel sickness. And the funny thing is, you know, my sister, she did a reading. Well, my sister did a reading for a lady the other day. Oh, I don't know if I can say this. Anyway, she asked me, do you get sick? She says, because man, she says, you travel, you jump timelines a lot. She goes, do you get sick? She said, do you get this nausea? And I said, yeah. I said, how do you know that? She goes, Mandy, she goes, that's awful. She goes, because I could feel it. She goes, I felt that sickness. And I said, yeah. So it doesn't always happen, but it's if I keep moving, if I move too much, I'm shifting. I know it's going to sound really weird. People think I'm really a bit of a quack, but I'm not.
What if
you
that's
know.
the reason why it happens, though? Is to keep you in check. And so
Of course.
You know, like that it's one of those safeguards that's in place, because if it wasn't, then you'd be doing it all the time.
Yeah. Oh, I get that. I appreciate that. Yeah. Very, very possible.
Because then I wonder also, like with the remembrance part, what's the point of dying? Like, because I admittedly don't know what happens once we go over to the other side, but I imagine it being something different than when we're in the body. So is there processing that takes place over there? I mean, I've heard of in-betweens and pre-in-betweens, and that they're, you know, it's not just one place necessarily we go to, but many, you know, based off of where we need to go to process once we've done what we've done in this life. And then there are other lives that we may need to process while we go over there, because there may be a little, you know, some skips that we stepped that we were supposed to take care of when we encountered in this life. So like, what does that like completely change the game then at that point? Like where
If you go left.
Yeah,
Just gonna throw that.
but it's like, because I guess
Wait, hold on.
Sorry.
To give some context,
We've said this a few
we
times.
did have a different conversation where we talk about the whole go into the light. You know how people say when you're in that moment, go into the light. And so what we have actually talked about in our after hours is how the going into the light is actually a trap. It's a false light that just keeps you in this incarnation karmic wheel. And really, when you see the light, you are to go to the left and not go to the light. So that's what that was about. And that is a whole other deep dive and rabbit hole, which is But you know what's interesting, and I think about this all the time. Because for example, when I had my regression with you, both of them, I had multiple lives to look through. I didn't have 600, nothing like that, but it was one lifetime after the other, where not everybody is like that, right? So do you get people who, or like, what's your experience? Do most people have lots of lifetimes to go through? Do you get people who are like, I don't remember anything? Like, how does that usually show up?
So I want to answer that. And there's one other thought I want to just close with. The other thing, everything that Amanda's saying right now, I think is possible, because it's like, then my next thing would be like, okay, well, then what would be the point of going over to the other side if we can remember everything here? That means that everything would probably have to be redesigned at that point. Well, that kind of goes hand in hand with what I was talking about with evolution. So maybe there is a natural evolution taking place where things are going to be changing over there too. So it's like, I think it's entirely possible. That's all I'm saying. So it's like, yeah, why not? It's like, that's what, like, I don't know. I'm having fun with this. But the question about people revisiting multiple lives, right? Does everyone revisit multiple lives? Is that what the question was?
Yeah.
I have people who visit just one life, but most people see more than one. And I think that that's because that's the way the pattern comes out. That's the way for you to see that it's been a pattern. So if you only see it in one life, it may not be profound enough to the point of, okay, well, it happened that one time. But when you see it's happened 4 times, okay, maybe I should start taking notice of it. Now, here's the other thing I'll say. Even in the time that I've been a practitioner, which is, I started in 2016. So, Anna, it's a blip on the radar in the scheme of things. But sorry, the grand scheme of things, is probably important to say that, because then I make it sound like it's a scheme. I've even seen an evolution in the process in that time, of the way that sessions are happening.
Sure.
It may just be because I approach sessions differently and that I can
Yeah.
cover more ground as a practitioner. But it seems like it doesn't happen the way that it did before, that there is a progression that's taking place. And what I'm seeing more and more are what we may deem to be concurrent lives, like the one that, you were talking about. It seems like that's popping up more. Now, I wonder if that's coming up because I'm evolving. Because
Yes.
earlier
100%. Yeah.
as a practitioner, I would have written that off more as a parallel life, something that wasn't existing in here, or just seeing someone else's life, presenting the possibilities, but firmly convincing myself that, okay, this is just, there's got to be some explanation for it. But as I'm opening myself up more and more to the possibility that time is not linear, then I don't need to judge those lives in the moment and try to figure it out. I just say, this is just what it is. So I think that's the difference, is because I would be so caught up on how. But now it's just, it is. It just is. I don't need to question anymore. So it's rare now that I have someone see one life.
Well, so you made a really good point about things have changed because you have also evolved. So I truly believe that across all the lifetimes that I'm currently living, right, which could be infinite, like who knows? But across all of them, I truly believe that as you evolve and have a breakthrough in one, it really affects and trickles all of them. So you have that evolution kind of across time, but obviously I'm just using that just so we can understand what I'm trying to say. So I do think that as you personally evolve, you are met with people who are also in that evolution as well. So as you grow, for example, the timeline we're in now, right now, currently in 2024, how things have been shifting. I know we talk about timelines all the time, and it's like the more you become aware of it, the more you realize, oh, I totally feel this shift that just happened, that is coming. I'm expecting it. There's something different that's going to go one way or the other, and you feel you're going to tip one way or the other. And I feel, for me, that I have encountered more people who are on that journey, who are on a different level of evolution than I ever have in my life. And I'm very conscious of the fact it's because I too am stepping into that growth, and I'm noticing from everybody around me because we affect each other. I could not sit here with any of you if I wasn't where I am now in my growth. We would not connect. Energetically, it'd be a complete mismatch. And yet we all sit here and the energy feels perfect and amazing and everything it should be for everybody, I believe.
So
Yeah.
I think you guys may probably be catching on at this point. I go to this place of the what ifs, and like that
No.
I don't have a solid cosmology. I think it's always changing. I'm always going to leave that room for something other than my own dogmatic beliefs, which, let's be honest, are right because it's me. And because, I know everything. But what if I don't? I have to, allow. And if anyone's not picking up my sarcasm, that was sarcasm, everyone who's out there listening in cyber world. Once I became more vocal in public about being a past life regressionist, it was like, yes, that's what I was encountering more and more and more, was just like, those people of that nature. But then this amazing thing happened that these people I'd known for years started telling me about paranormal experiences that they had. And then the question becomes, well, I was the same person I was back then, just I wasn't doing what I was. My belief system was different, but they were having those experiences, but they were in my life. Now, just because I started to shift in a different direction, that mean that I was just attracting at that point? Or is it because then I became more public and vocal about it? Then they're like, okay, this is someone who I can share those experiences with. And like, oh, I think they can all be true at the same time, because of course, the more I put myself out there as a past life regressionist, people are going to be coming to me for past life regression sessions more than they would if I wasn't. Like, I think that's just the way things work. If you put it out there, then yeah. And if you don't, then it's going to slow down. But I guess I just have trouble fully going over to that side because those people were in my life. And then also the conversation shifted a bit at that point into just, even with the ones that didn't have paranormal experiences, it was like my friends and I were suddenly having conversations that we never had before.
Yeah.
But it's not as if these beliefs just started for them the moment that I brought it up. It was just, we talked about hamburgers or swimming pools or whatever it was before, because that's what we did. But we were all probably sitting in that pool or that jacuzzi, all thinking about the cosmos, but we just wouldn't talk about it because that's not what we did at that point. It was just, it took a catalyst to shift the conversation.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it can be all that. And I know that probably puts me on shaky ground, because it'd be much better if I had stronger convictions, that I probably have a better leg to stand on of like, yep. Who knows what my life would look like if I had convictions that were that bold. But I don't know.
No, I love it. The whole time that I've been sitting here listening to all of this beautiful wisdom and, the curiosity and exploring and all of the topics that we talked about, I'm like, it's all possible. That's the one thing that I've been sitting here going, everything is possible. And when it comes to what we understand as a human, depends on our level of consciousness, and we are only really given what we can work with at that time. So whether it's past life or current life or whatever it may be, they're all just labels for an energy so that we can do with that, we can work with them, right? But
Exactly.
at the end of the day, it's all energy that we're working with. It's just how we can work with it at that time. But through all of the things that that have been discussed through this episode, it's just like, it's all possible. I can see how all of that can be possible at the same time. It's not one thing, it is everything. I'll often refer in, Rachel will know this, but everything is a soup. It is just this mixture of all of these beautiful ingredients, right? And it isn't just one thing, it is everything. So I love, Daniel, that you said, that, it's not, you don't just stick to one thing, and maybe this is not, I can't remember your words, but you can't say with absolute certainty any of the things. It is everything. So I hope that makes sense in some way. It does make sense in my head.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what, I was going to ask the question as well, that have any of you ever met people that you recognize? Never met before, but you just recognize them, and they feel so familiar.
Instant.
Yeah. And I think that's part of the whole past life, other lives, because you do, like I think, Daniel, you said in the beginning, like you might, you see somebody's eyes and you recognize. I think sometimes there have been agreements that have been set up that you'll recognize me, say, like by my laugh or by my smile, or by the way I walk, I may have a limp, all of those type of things. And that's how you're going to know who I am. And I've had those experiences.
That's how I remembered Yana, because she was like giving me a hard time about my microphone. I was like, oh, this was one of those meetings.
That is a lie. I did not give you a hard time with your microphone until after we recorded the episode on the Let's Talk Vibes podcast.
That was the day I met you.
Yeah, well, it's my fives within me. My fives just have to share the truth and be blunt. The microphone should not be covering your face.
Did you notice, Daniel, that when I got on today, I was like, oh, sorry, Yana, I haven't set up my microphone yet. Let me do that. I love you.
It was very helpful.
I came unprepared.
Listen.
Daniel, I'm dying to ask you, what's your experience as a practitioner when you're doing the sessions? Like, in some way, do you sort of energetically or emotionally or any way sort of journey with your clients? Or are you actually very grounded and very present in your environment yourself when you're doing it? What's your experience?
I'm grounded when I need to be. The other times, like if there's something heavy that comes up, I have both feet on the floor. I'm leaning forward and I'm there. But the other times I often close my eyes, and I don't know if I'm journeying, to be honest with you, because I also have a very vivid imagination. So
Okay.
sometimes I just happen to see something beforehand, and that person ends up describing what I was already seeing. But
Okay. Does it feel affirming to you? I mean, I'm sure you're tempted to feel affirmed by it, but, you know, is it like that?
I mean, it could be. I think because in those
Possible.
moments, possible, yeah. I mean, like one of the big things I'm working on in this lifetime is not being an egomaniac. I mean, I know I already said that I'm God's gift to the world. Let's be honest, you know. But you know, and now I just pass it off as
Clearly.
if I'm joking about it, but really, I'm being completely serious. But in those moments of affirmation, I'm not looking for it, because
Yeah. Okay.
the second I start looking, like that's the second that I'm not doing my job the
Mhm.
best that I possibly can. And it does become difficult at that point, because am I going to ask questions based off of what I'm seeing myself, or do I have to, you know, hold back? And that's also like where I think responsibility comes into play, because I ask for everyone's natal chart information for astrology beforehand.
Mhm.
And it helps me see which questions I should ask during the pre-session, because sometimes someone may not have an awareness of something and I'll know the right question to ask. But then again, am I making an assumption based off of information that's being presented or an idea that I've come up with? And, you know,
For
kind of
me, it sounds
conjure
like
that
you're
up.
making an assumption of where your gift is coming from. And that you're confusing perhaps your intuition for information from the natal chart. But I do understand how that can work together and
Yeah,
help trigger your consciousness yourself. So yeah.
because there's always going to be, you know, the curveball or the outlier. And like, this is where I'm going to have like, because yeah, Yana came into my life to tell me that I needed to get a new microphone stand, which has
And a new
improved my
promo
game
picture.
vast.
And a new promo picture.
And I mean, she says I look like a real estate agent
Yeah.
in my headshots. It's true. I do. I really do. She's 100% right. I do need to get new pictures. And this is like where, Yana, I'm sorry. I have to have fun with this one. Where, because I know she's
Always
gonna
at my
be the guy
expense.
right
Go
now.
ahead.
Always at her, but this is why, because I know that Yana
I
can
can
handle
take it.
Yep.
When she was doing my soul contract reading, she said to me, "Oh, you're horrible with time. Like, you're always late." I said, "Like, what? what are you talking about? Me? I'm not late." Like, there's always going to be that outlier. Sorry, Yana. I probably didn't need to bring that up, but
Oh, that's
yeah.
okay. It's the 12-3 frequency is what you were talking about. And they're always in a rush. They're always like running late, and they get FOMO, and they want to be a part of everything. They want to learn everything. They want to read everything. So they're always going from one thing to the next. And there is a part of you that has it, by the way.
Yeah, the rushing part, yeah. Like, I'll run, but never. Yeah, okay. But on the blah, 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 blah. Back to Rachel's question. I know, because I deviated, because I really just wanted to take a shot at Yana for that one, because you know,
That's bold.
the frugal me had to buy a new microphone stand, but she was totally right. So this is where that projection is taking place. I'm like, oh, rah, 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 I had to buy a new mic, but I'm putting it on the person who brought it to my attention when it's really not her fault. She was actually helping me. But that's just the position we find ourselves in. But thank you, Yana. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I wonder now if I'm doing a disservice to people also by not getting as carried away in the session as I could, and not allowing myself to go there, because I wonder if it would help me ask the right questions to an even greater extent. And
Well, have you
if
had
I'm
any
limiting
feedback?
myself by keeping myself grounded. But I mean, there are
Oh,
times,
listen.
look, I need to be there and be completely grounded when someone is experiencing like something
Freaking out.
big. Like, you know, I can't be out there in la la land, but I don't know. Like, I think that is the struggle for me right now, is where do I embrace these abilities that I may have, whatever that may be, and allow myself to go there, because I probably can, but I ask why, and then I should be asking myself why not. And
Well, I mean, in a why not way, I'd think have you ever had any feedback, or have you ever had a negative experience of like going too far, if you know what I mean, that you have been a bit too loose and you've gone, oh, I shouldn't get that loose next time? Have you ever had that experience?
Not with journeying like that, only being arrogant. And
but that, as a 3D human kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Just, you know, getting like early on as a practitioner, when I want to say like a couple of years ago, this is where social media was very detrimental to me. I didn't put myself out there publicly on social media as a past life regressionist until 4 years after I'd already been a practitioner. And I was away from the spiritual social media land. I wasn't involved in it. I didn't follow it. And then when I put myself out there, this was around the time of COVID, and I started to get swept up in a lot of the bullshit, like frankly, the bullshit that was out there. And one of the things that really got me was in some of the training programs that I'd taken place of for different modalities. It's just like, you attract the right clients for you. You are the right practitioner for them. So you attract the right clients for you. And also being at the time of COVID, and not to make excuses, but I think all of us were going a little bit nutty and probably looking for meaning where there wasn't any. And being in this new world of social media and being in this echo chamber of all these spiritual practitioners and influencers who knew what they were talking about and whatnot, and thinking, oh yeah, now all these people are finding their way to me. So what's this magical ability that I have that no one else does? It's like, well, I'm not a pussy. So I probably shouldn't have said it that way.
Oh
but sorry, we don't have to edit that part out. But I mean,
Fun fact, I don't edit any part out.
Yeah, I know. But it was like, oh yeah, they're gonna come to me because I'm gonna tell them how it is. And in seeing that arrogance, I don't know that I went too far, but I can see how I could have by being too brash and being like, let's go for the jugular right now. Whereas time went on, I started to see I may be the guiding the session right now, but I'm not in charge of it. Like I can command this space and make sure that I do my job to the best of my ability. But if this person needs to walk at a turtle's pace, then we're going to walk at a turtle's pace right now. I don't need to be the cheerleader to get them even to go to a slow run. It's them dictating right now. And as I'm even talking about this is where I'm seeing the fear come up of what happens if I do let myself journey and get carried away. Will I get so swept up in it that I'll just be facing a new problem, and in being harmful to someone because I wanted to go on the journey with them? And again, and these are all things that I need to look at now. Why are these fears coming up? Or are they even legitimate fears? But I don't know, where am I not stepping into my power, which is something that I've talked about with Yana and, her and her brash nature.
Everywhere.
In that person that I was talking about not being that's Yana. She's very like, just tell you how, like, you're stupid. I'm just kidding. She never said that to me.
Never.
No. Yana. No, I take that back. I take
I've
everything
never
else I
said
stand
that.
by. She never said that to me. She
But
never
you know
said
what?
that.
I was gonna say, when you first spoke, that you said that sometimes you see things before and then people will actually describe that that's what's happening. I just thought, wow, that is your intuitive ability is online. And I don't see that as I never ever saw that as an ego thing. I just thought we are able to, for me, means your multidimensional sight is online. So you're seeing what's already been seen. What we don't really see sometimes with the 3D eye, we're not seeing all those different, because everything is there. There's no real sort of veil or shade that is stopping us from seeing all this different information. And seeing doesn't always mean like seeing how we see with the 3D eye. You can see in so many different ways, just like how, say, I receive my information in so many different ways. And sometimes I receive information that is probably a frequency that I translate into words. Maybe it doesn't even come in as words. It may just come in as a sort of a frequency that I interpret what that frequency is, and then I deliver that message. But I can see people's past lives. I can be working with somebody, and I'm not even doing past life work, because I don't really do past life work right now, or other lives works. But when I'm doing, say, divine healing, master key, or even if I'm doing the readings, numerology readings, or the light body, I can suddenly get information on past lives. I see it as clear as day. And I tell you what, nobody can tell me that it's not real. When you see it playing out, it's as clear as day. And you have this energy, and you have this feeling inside you. And you can sometimes relay that. I don't know why I feel it so strongly, even like now. I wonder what's playing out right now, but I can feel it, I can see it, and I can see how it's tied into what's happening with their lives right now. Or I can see other versions of people. People have experienced that with me, whereby I can see so I think what I'm trying to say is that that's one of your gifts. And that's one of your abilities.
Thank you.
And to be able to do that is phenomenal. And I think that's a gift for the person that you're working with. I don't think it's you taking over the session. I think it's a gift for them that's lying down there, because in a way, there's huge confirmation that what they are experiencing and what they're seeing or feeling or journeying is very, very real, and it's very, very there. So
it's very nice to have a traveling companion.
Yeah.
And also, Daniel, your awareness or your sensitivity to not, whatever you're scared of. I mean, like, honestly, I feel like if you talk to anyone else, they'd be much more fearful of experiencing whatever their client was experiencing, because that could actually be quite scary. And I think it's a beautiful thing that you don't seem to be worried about that at all. You only seem to be about, your client's welfare. And so I think it's probably enough.
And sorry, Daniel, when you were speaking about it, it just, when you were saying, what could happen, where could I go? Like, I'm just like, that is exactly where you need to go. And it's, and I started to have all of this energy moving, and it's like, that will happen whenever it's meant to be. And it may be a client that comes in that you feel like, okay, now's the time, but it just feels very expansive, and that it will, not that it isn't everything now, but that it will go, it will be so much more for you.
I appreciate all of that. And you guys are all right. And I think it's just all part of the journey, though. I think that's one of the things I'm here to learn this time is how to not abuse power, because that is being in a position of power. Anytime I'm in that position in a session, there's a responsibility with that. Like there's power right there. And this is also like where I think it kind of factors into the knowledge of other lives, because I've seen the other lives where I've done this, or I have abused that power, and I haven't handled it as responsibly as I could have, or I could have done better. Then again, I don't know for sure if it was other lives or just, the subconscious, maybe, but I believe it was other lives. And I get a little hung up on it that, I fucked up before. Now I have to do this right. And I think ultimately it was a good thing for me to become aware of that, because yes, it was more tangible, because I was able to put my finger on why I'm feeling this way. And then once those feelings come up, I can say, well, that's then, it's not now. And I can just kind of brush it aside. But it's how do I progress forward with that. And what's funny is like, I really need to just allow myself to go there in many ways. Cause even as Rachel was speaking, you know, you brought up about, you know, it was about what I would be seeing ahead of time, and that it's good for the session because it's kind of like a confirmation that of what someone's experiencing. And I can't even allow myself to go there as a confirmation, because to me, all that is that there's confirmation that there's something else, like that there's something that I'm tapping into and that they're tapping into, or that it's a coincidence, just happens to rear itself at that time. Probably not, but I can never fully allow myself to go to the place of this is what it is, because I've seen how painful it's been for me to unravel other belief systems that I taught as or that I considered to be absolutes, and saying this is the way that it is, only to then come to the realization, oh boy, was I a fool with that one? And, you know, and then having to
We all
reel
know
that
that
back
feeling.
in. Right.
Yeah.
And, but also then, where does playing it safe become detrimental? Because then,
Yeah.
where am I holding myself back
Back.
by not just going for it? And these are all questions I really need to ask
Yeah.
myself. And as it's coming up, I'm like, oh man, now this is what girl power feels like. And this is where it all comes
It's-
up.
yeah, it's
But
time.
you know what I was going to throw in there is that if we're talking about all of these lives are all happening at the same time, nobody past lives. So there is a version or versions of Daniel that's out there that has got this, that has stepped into that power, that is not abusing power, that is wielding that power as empowerment. There's a version of you that's out there doing that. So why do we think about, oh, I don't want to step into, because I know that I've abused it before.
Right.
Why isn't it, well, I'm going to step into that version of me that is stepping into my power to empower
With integrity.
with integrity. Okay,
That's
love
also
that.
your 10-1.
I was going to say there must be a 10-1 in here, man.
There
Like,
is a 10-1 in him. But Kylie, you've been shaking your head like you just feel everything he's going through, because I know you do a lot of this in your sessions. Go.
So I'm, number one, very overwhelmed by all the information, and I'm processing, and I'm like, I don't even know where to begin. So, okay. So number one, Daniel, you've got a guide who has been nonstop talking to me the whole goddamn time, and I had to like kick him out of my space because I'm like, I'm trying to listen. Yes.
A
So
guide.
it's been
A guide.
a
Guide.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
guide.
All right.
So anyway,
Sorry about that.
I know. Send him. Go back.
Which one?
It's
What's
a
his
man.
name?
It's a man. It's giving me very like Lord of the Rings warlock kind of energy, but he feels like he is from a different. So I'm going to have a truth moment. I don't really understand the concept of different timelines. It's just, it hasn't been in my scope to really understand what that means. This is a very new terminology for me, but I'm being told he's from a different timeline. I'm also seeing you, Daniel. I see you carbon, you and as a carbon copy of yourself. And I feel like you're going to places instantaneously. Okay. What's
a
that
wizard.
about?
Oh,
I was
Who's a
about to
wizard?
say he's a wizard.
that's
I
what's
knew
his
it.
name?
Stop it.
Merlin?
Stop it. I had a vision of a wizard. No shit.
Stop. Okay.
That's Gandalf,
power.
right?
See? And then I'm having like this like vision of like Daniel's energy being like here, like, and it's a carbon copy of his outline. So it's almost like you're traveling instantaneously to different things, or you're astral traveling or something, but you are all over the place energetically. That's what I'm kind of getting. Okay. So that was that. And I'm going completely off tangent, but I just had to share that because it was just like bothering me the whole time. So I understand the responsibility. So I'm going to preface this by saying I am not formally trained in anything. I don't have any certificates. I've never sat through training, maybe for 1 week. And I was like, this is not for me. And what I find is that the training, in my feeling, my intuition was it was providing limited belief system. It was giving me too much of a boundary, and it wasn't allowing me to explore outside of that. So when I stumble into past life stuff in my session work, it's purely accidental. It's purely this person needs to go back to this life to remove a block that's showing in this life. And that's the only reason why I would go in a past life. I'm not going there to discover anything else other than that. And I can say for the last 6 months, I haven't done a lot of past life stuff, but back it does come up every now and again. So there is absolute responsibility. There have been some absolute terrifying experiences I've had. And I'm like, I have thought to myself, am I going to be able to energetically get this person out of that space back into their current body? And that is a fear that I have in the back of my mind. I'm like, am I powerful enough to do it? But I have to trust that if I'm protecting, I have my guides, I have every tool I have possible, we'll go and we'll push that boundary, because I trust that I have got everything I need to bring that person back and bring myself back. And if I share a vision, Rachel, with her alien stuff, if I may share to the world, right? Her energy market.
Oh, Daniel, there's
Yeah.
more than one alien here.
Yeah, there's more than one alien here, right? And it's like, in my head, I'm like, this is absolutely ridiculous. Why am I telling her this? And then she's like, oh yeah, that resonates with me. Oh yeah, bring it on. And I'm like, okay, you know, it's just trusting that process. So it is, but I totally understand that responsibility. And I am quite, from a someone who's open to energy, I'm like, dude, you are so switched on to the point where you can easily be channeling down the road if you choose to do that. You don't need all these, like, and I seem to say this with every person that comes on. Am I the one that always says that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's me. You are capable of just so much more exposure to things that you don't even know. Like, there's a whole level, and it's there waiting for you to trust the process. And it's not ego that's holding you back.
Yeah,
it's the confined box. It keeps you safe, as well as protects the, you know, you don't want to fuck anything up, right? But that it's, you know, it's a blessing and a curse for you at the same time.
Do you want to know
my
what's
TED Talk.
amazing about that?
love that.
I don't need to ask you any questions.
I'm here to help. I'm here to help.
And just to clarify, not Merlin. It's just a magician hat that I happen to have. I was like, well, that's convenient that I have that back there.
I just happen to have one too.
I just happen to have it right there. Yeah.
No,
Here's one I made earlier.
Yeah, it's just, I have no other hats in here, just this one.
Yes. Okay.
No, but
I love it.
you're right. I believe.
Yeah. She's always right, man.
Yeah.
Not I think.
Yeah.
Listen, how many times, Daniel, do you need to hear that you're playing it small?
And you're dismissing it with the I think, I perhaps, because you know. You can definitively say some things. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Do you know that Marianne Williamson, is it Williamson?
Williamson, yeah, love her.
Our Greatest Fear. That so many people need to, Our Greatest Fear. That would be really something for maybe you to read. It's a beautiful little bit of prose from her book. I think Nelson Mandela used it, and everybody thinks he wrote it, but it wasn't written for his inauguration speech, but she wrote it. I think it's called Our Greatest Fear. And be really phenomenal to read it, because ditto what Kylie just said. I think anybody I think we do have to define the people that we want to work with, that we know that we are a frequency match with. Now, for me, I can't, or I won't work with people that are just beginning their journey. I can't, because I need a degree, I need a particular kind of frequency in order to work with, because that's how I do my work. Those are the kind of people, that's the energetic space that I want to be in. And I think, though, that people that come to you, I think what it is that what you're also kind of cutting off as well is that people come, they like, oh, you could skyrocket it, you know, and open up.
So the whole time I've been sitting here going,
God said-
I'm sold. How about I book in and we do a little experiment?
Oh, nice one.
Daniel's never going to want to be on this
Daniel.
podcast again.
Daniel's
What else do I have on my desk?
You're seeing life through your rose-colored glasses.
Yeah,
That's
the
right. I keep a
12-3.
pair. I keep a
That's
pair of
12-3.
rose-colored glasses on my desk.
That is hilarious.
Okay, you know what? I think this is perfect time to get a Kylie pull on for everyone on this panel, for everyone listening. What is in store for us?
Okay, so I've pulled, okay, do I do a little? I'm
Yes.
doing Sonia Coquette's. The answer is simple. We're keeping it so simple today because
okay.
I think that's how Daniel operates. So step away from the crowd.
Oh,
Okay, so if there is something you are contemplating, doesn't have to go a status quo, Daniel, we can do our own thing and step away from the crowd. Yet again, let go and flow. Go find a swing.
oh, and there's a rainbow.
Oh, you're stuck on the rainbow. I'm like, swings. Swings. Okay, where's the
up.
camera?
There
There
you
we
go.
go.
There you go.
Yeah.
No, because
And then
when you guys were talking, I was seeing like all these stars, but all these different colors in them. So I was excited by your colors on your card.
okay, so I'm going to do something weird. Just bear with me. Okay. I want whoever is listening, whoever in the cosmos, I want you to take a breath and think of a question, a yes or no question that is burning in your mind. It could be anything. What are the winning lottery? No, that's not a yes or no. You know, am I going to go for that job? Should I do that thing? Okay, because here is your answer. Drum roll. Say yes. Okay, it's a yes. So whatever that question is, it's a yes. Okay, there you go. Magic.
I love it.
Put on
I
my
love
Merlin
it.
hat.
I love it.
Thank you.
Daniel,
Thank you, Kylie.
Thank
did you have the best time of your life today?
I actually did. This was really fun. I really enjoyed this panel.
Now listen, if you ever come back again and you roast me again, it will be your last time here.
In your face.
I'm sorry, Yana. I'll tell you what, if I ever come back again, I'll be late. That way I'll say you were right.
That's okay. Listen, Daniel, we appreciate you. Thank you so much for joining us
So
today.
good.
Why
Oh,
don't you
thank you,
let
Daniel. Thank you so
our
much.
listeners know where to find you?
So you guys can find me on Instagram at the Past Life Regressionist. My website is thepastliferegressionist.com, or you can check out my podcast, Timeless Spirituality. Thank you
I
guys
love
so
it.
much for having me on. This was
Awesome.
this was so much fun. Can I say one last thing?
Yeah.
I know I pictured Amanda and I in another life where we were having a similar conversation, but it had nothing to do with spirituality, where it was just like we had fun, spirited conversations about serious shit.
Yeah.
Where it's like
Wow.
stuff that would work other people up, but we were just like, oh yeah, we can have fun with this. Like we're not super attached
Yep.
to any outcome. Like we could talk. Like yeah.
Wow.
Could have been a figment of
I
my
can feel that.
imagination, or I could have been or
No.
tapping into something.
No.
I know I've
No.
got to play both sides.
No.
Yeah.
Stop
No.
it.
No, there was definitely a vibe. I totally feel that.
Wow.
So this was honestly, you guys have something fun going on here. I think that's just how it is with all of Yana's stuff. I love her other podcasts, and this is something else though. This is
On
being in the
crack.
coldest hot seat ever. So just thank you guys for having me, and thank you for your time, not time.
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
Sorry, not
Thank you,
sorry.
Daniel. It's been so awesome. So good. Love it.
Don't let your head get too big, okay?
Okay.
Your
It's
hat won't fit on
it's
your
just
head.
too big for I can't fit my head in there.
Your wizard, your wizard
Yeah.
cap.
It's a little, yeah.
It's probably
It's
the
a one
hair.
size
It's
fits all.
probably
It
the hair.
should probably.
You guys, thank you so much. This concludes our episode for today. Thank you for spending this time with us. If you're interested in booking a reading, a healing, a guided meditation session, a light body activation, a past life regression, or you just want to say hello, head on over to yoursoulwisdomshow.com. We thank you for allowing us to create this beautiful space, and we will see you next time. Have a blessed day. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank
Bye.
you.